Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History, fellow collectors, coin lovers, and hidden treasure hunters. Today, we're going to shine a spotlight on one of the smallest coins in your pocket, but don't let its size fool you. This little coin has a history, a story, and in very rare cases, a value that will absolutely blow your mind. That's right, we're talking about the 1967 Roosevelt dime. At first glance, this coin might look like any other ordinary dime. It's tiny, lightweight, and easy to overlook. But for those who know what to look for, this 1967 Roosevelt dime could be far more than just 10 cents, it could be a hidden gem worth thousands. In fact, by the end of this video, you'll learn about one specific 1967 Roosevelt dime that was sold for a jaw-dropping amount. So stick with us, because what you're about to learn might have you digging through your change jar tonight. Let's start with a bit of context. The Roosevelt dime was introduced in 1946, following the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, one of the most influential leaders in American history. His image replaced the Mercury dime, and the new design was intended to honor his legacy, especially his work with the March of Dimes, a campaign to fight polio. The design itself is simple but bold. On the front, or obverse, we see Roosevelt's profile, facing left. The word Liberty is stamped clearly along the edge, with the national motto, "In God We Trust," just below his chin. The date, 1967, is on the lower right. Turn the coin over, and the reverse side features a torch in the center, symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch on the left for peace and an oak branch on the right for strength and independence. The words, United States of America, one dime, and E pluribus unum encircle this powerful design. Now, here's something most people don't realize: 1967 was a unique year in U.S. coinage history. Why? Because it was in the middle of what numismatists call the coin shortage era. During this time, from 1965 to 1967, the U.S. Mint stopped placing mint marks on coins. That means if you're looking at a 1967 Roosevelt dime, you won't find the usual D for Denver or S for San Francisco. Every coin from that year was made without a mint mark, regardless of where it was struck, but that's just the beginning of what makes 1967 dimes so intriguing. Earlier in the 1960s, the U.S. government made a major change to the composition of its dimes. Before 1965, dimes were made of 90% silver. But due to rising silver prices and hoarding by the public, the mint shifted to a copper-nickel-clad composition starting in 1965. So by 1967, all dimes were supposed to be made from this newer, non-silver material. However, it's widely believed that a small number of silver planchets, blanks intended for earlier dimes, were accidentally used during this transitional period. That's right, there could be silver dimes dated 1967 floating out there, and they're extremely rare, but it doesn't stop there. 1967 dimes are also known for other rare minting errors. These include off-center strikes, double dies, where the design is slightly duplicated, and even coins struck on the wrong planchets, such as pennies or foreign blanks. These errors were incredibly uncommon due to increased quality control efforts at the mint, but in the hustle of a high-production year like 1967, some slipped through the cracks. Now let's talk condition. As with all coins, condition is king. A dime that's been through decades of circulation will show obvious signs of wear, faded details, scratches, and general dullness. But some coins from 1967 have been found in stunning uncirculated condition. These dimes shine with their original luster, and their edges and lettering remain sharp. Some were preserved in special mint sets released that year, intended for collectors. If your 1967 dime came from one of these sets and has been kept in pristine shape, you're already ahead of the game. But when you combine excellent condition with an error, say, a double die or a coin struck on a silver planchet, you've got something truly special. These rare combinations can turn a dime into a collector's dream. And when such coins make their way into professional auctions, the bidding can get intense. Collectors know that these coins are part history, part mystery, and part investment. Now, here comes the moment you've been waiting for. While most 1967 Roosevelt dimes are worth only face value, or maybe a few dollars in top condition, there are a few extraordinary examples that defy all expectations. One particular coin, flawless, rare, and featuring an exceptional error, was professionally graded and authenticated. It didn't just impress the experts, it stunned them. When this coin went up for auction, it sold for a staggering amount, and that final price, $44,000, yes, a 10-cent piece from 1967 was sold for the price of a luxury car. So what does that mean for you? It means the next time you're counting change, don't just rush through the dimes. Take a close look at each one. Check the color, the weight, the details, the alignment. You might just find something that millions of people have overlooked for decades. Today's video is going to open your eyes to something that might be sitting in your pocket right now, a United States Roosevelt dime from 1991. Now you might be thinking, what could a dime from the 1990s possibly be worth? It's a fair question. After all, it's a coin that many of us have spent without a second thought. But here's the surprising truth, under the right conditions, a 1991 Roosevelt dime can be worth a small fortune. And I'm not talking about collector's hype, I'm talking cold, hard cash. So stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you'll find out just how much the most valuable of these little dimes has sold for. Let's start with the basics. The Roosevelt dime has been in circulation since 1946. It was created to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, shortly after his death. And it wasn't just a tribute to a great leader, it was also a nod to his connection with the March of Dimes, a campaign to fight polio that eventually helped fund the research leading to the vaccine. So when you hold a Roosevelt dime, you're not just holding a piece of metal, you're holding a small piece of American history. Fast forward to 1991. That year, the U.S. Mint produced millions of Roosevelt dimes at 3 locations, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. If you look closely at your dime, just to the right of Roosevelt's neck, you'll see a tiny letter. That's the mint mark. A P means it was minted in Philadelphia. A D means Denver. And an S indicates San Francisco, which mainly handled proof coins for collectors. The front, or obverse, of the coin features Roosevelt's left-facing portrait with the word Liberty to the left, and the motto, In God We Trust, just below his chin. The date, 1991, is stamped at the lower right. On the reverse side, you'll find a flaming torch in the center, symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch on the left and an oak branch on the right, representing peace and strength. Above, the words, United States of America, and below, the value, 1 dime. So far, nothing unusual, right? Just your standard US dime, but here's where things get interesting. While most of the 1991 dimes were mass-produced and have little more than face value, there are rare exceptions. These exceptions come in the form of minting errors, ultra-high-grade coins, or special varieties that were never meant to be released to the public. These are the coins that make collectors stop and stare. These are the coins that fetch staggering prices at auction. Let's talk about condition first. Most coins go through a rough life, passed from hand to hand, jingling in pockets, bouncing around in cash registers. Over time, they get scratched, discolored, and worn. But a few coins escape that fate. They remain untouched, stored carefully from the moment they left the mint. These are known as mint state coins, and they're graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being perfect. The closer a coin is to that perfect 70, the higher its value can go. Now combine that with a minting error, and you have the recipe for a truly valuable coin. One of the most fascinating errors collectors look for is the missing mint mark error, particularly in proof coins. For example, some San Francisco proof dimes from the early 80s were accidentally struck without the S mint mark. These dimes were supposed to be pristine, collectible pieces, so when even a tiny detail like the mint mark was missing, they became instant rarities. While no confirmed missing mint mark errors have been found on 1991 dimes so far, other error types from that year have been documented. You might find off-center strikes, where part of the design is literally missing because the coin wasn't properly aligned during minting. Or you could come across double dies, where parts of the lettering or numbers appear double due to a misalignment in the die itself. These kinds of errors can turn a simple dime into a showstopper at a coin auction, and let's not forget about coins struck on the wrong planchet. That's when a dime design ends up on a blank meant for another coin, like a penny or even a foreign coin. These are incredibly rare, and when they do appear, collectors will pay top dollar to own them, even without a visible error. Some 1991 Roosevelt dimes can stand out because of their condition alone. Coins that are perfectly struck, have full torch details on the reverse, what collectors call full bands, and shine with original luster are highly sought after. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC authenticate these coins, assign them grades, and seal them in protective cases. And when a high-grade example hits the market, it can cause quite a stir, which brings us to the question you've been waiting for: how much could one of these 1991 Roosevelt dimes actually be worth? While most of them are only worth their face value or a few bucks to collectors, every once in a while, a coin appears that breaks all expectations. A flawless example, with a rare error, in a high grade, and verified by top-tier grading services, this is the kind of dime that gets collectors talking. And it's exactly this kind of dime that recently sold for an eye-opening price point. One single Roosevelt dime from 1991, authentic, rare, and perfectly preserved, was sold for an astonishing total of $34,000. Yes, you heard that right. A 10-cent coin. Worth more than most brand new cars. Just imagine finding one of these in your spare change. So here's your takeaway: never underestimate the coins in your hand. That small, shiny dime might be worth a lot more than 10 cents. All it takes is a little curiosity, a sharp eye, and a willingness to dig a little deeper. Today's video is one you won't want to miss. Because we're diving deep into a coin that most people don't even give a second glance: the 1977 Roosevelt dime. Yes, you heard that right. A dime. Just 10 cents. But don't let its small size or familiar face fool you. There's a hidden world behind this everyday coin, one filled with history, mystery, and value. And as you'll find out by the end of this video, one of these little dimes sold for an amount that could put a luxury car in your driveway. Let's begin with the basics. The Roosevelt dime was introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, a leader who not only helped steer the country through the Great Depression and World War II, but also championed the March of Dimes campaign that helped defeat polio. His portrait replaced the beloved Mercury design that graced the dime from 1916 to 1945. By 1977, the Roosevelt dime had been in circulation for over 3 decades. The U.S. Mint was producing these coins in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. And here's where it gets interesting. Most circulating coins were struck in Philadelphia and Denver. If you look just to the right of Roosevelt's neck, you'll spot a small letter, D, for Denver, and if there's no letter, it's from Philadelphia. The S mint mark indicates a proof coin, produced in San Francisco specifically for collectors. The design stayed consistent. On the front, Roosevelt's profile, bold and resolute. Around him, the inscriptions, "Liberty, in God We Trust," and the date, 1977. Flip the coin over, and you'll see the torch in the center, flanked by an olive branch on the left and an oak branch on the right. They represent liberty, peace, and strength, a beautiful trio of American ideals. Above it all, the words, United States of America, and at the bottom, the denomination, 1 dime. Now, the year 1977 wasn't known for any major coinage changes, no metal transitions, no halted production, but that's what makes the surprises within it even more exciting. Sometimes, it's the most ordinary years that produce the rarest treasures. And in the case of the 1977 Roosevelt dime, there are a few things that can make this tiny coin an absolute jackpot. Let's talk about what makes a 1977 Roosevelt dime valuable. First, condition. If your coin is heavily worn, scratched, or discolored, it's likely only worth face value. But if your dime is in mint state condition, meaning it's uncirculated and shows no signs of wear, it's already of interest to collectors. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, and anything graded 65 or higher can command real money. Then, there are the errors. These are what truly light up the eyes of seasoned numismatists. Imagine a coin struck off-center, where part of the design is cut off. Or one where the die was misaligned, causing doubling on the date or lettering. These are known as double die errors, and they can be worth a fortune if the doubling is strong and visible. Even rarer are wrong planchet errors, where the dime was mistakenly struck on a blank intended for another coin, like a penny, nickel, or even a foreign coin. These mistakes were never meant to reach the public, but a few always manage to sneak through. And when they do? Jackpot. Let's not forget proof errors. In 1977, San Francisco produced proof coins with a mirrored finish, typically sealed in sets for collectors. But once in a while, a proof coin ends up in circulation or is struck with an error, such as a missing mint mark or a frosted reverse paired with a polished obverse. These oddities are incredibly rare and highly desirable. There's also a category of coins with full torch details, known in collector terms as full bands. If the lines on the torch's bands are sharply defined and uninterrupted, you've got yourself a coin that's worth paying attention to, especially in uncirculated condition. Some collectors go even further, seeking toned coins, dimes with natural coloration caused by oxidation. These unique color patterns can make a coin stand out, and for the right buyer, a beautifully toned 1977 Roosevelt dime is a piece of art. Now here's where it gets exciting. Among the thousands of 1977 dimes minted, a small handful have been discovered with a perfect storm of rarity, beauty, and flaw. These coins have been graded by professional organizations like PCGS and NGC, receiving top marks for both strike quality and eye appeal. Some have dramatic errors, some are in such pristine condition that they look freshly minted, and others are simply one-of-a-kind pieces with collector appeal off the charts. And every now and then, one of these spectacular dimes makes its way into the spotlight, whether through a private collection or a high-end coin auction. Collectors and investors alike will compete fiercely to claim it, knowing its value will only grow over time. So, how much can a single 1977 Roosevelt dime really be worth? Well, while most are worth just 10 cents or maybe a few dollars in top grade, one extraordinary example, flawless in condition, rare in detail, and authenticated by professionals, recently stunned the numismatic world. That single dime sold for a life-changing $38,000. Yes, you heard it correctly. $38,000. For one Roosevelt dime from 1977. So the next time you're handed a handful of change, or you're sorting through a coin jar that's been collecting dust for years, pause. Take a closer look. Because somewhere, in a pocket, a piggy bank, or an old drawer, one of these valuable dimes might be hiding in plain sight. Today's journey takes us into the world of dimes, but not just any dime. We're talking about the United States Roosevelt one dime from the year 1980. Now, you might be thinking, what could a little coin from the 80s possibly be worth? Well, hold on to your seats, because by the end of this video, you're going to see how one of these seemingly ordinary dimes turned out to be a jaw-dropping payday for a lucky collector. It might even have you rushing to check your own coin jar. Let's go back in time for a moment. The year is 1980. The US is going through a transitional period. Ronald Reagan is about to step into the White House, inflation is rising, and the economy is shifting. Gas prices, fashion trends, and yes, even coins, were changing. While the rest of the world was focused on big things like politics and pop culture, the US Mint was busy producing millions of coins to keep America moving. Among those coins was the Roosevelt dime. First introduced in 1946, this dime features the profile of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the man who led America through the Great Depression and World War II, and the founder of the March of Dimes. His portrait was a perfect fit for this coin, and since then, it's become a familiar piece in nearly everyone's pocket. The 1980 Roosevelt dime followed the same basic design as its predecessors. On the front, or obverse, you'll see Roosevelt's left-facing profile, with the word Liberty stretching along the left edge. Just beneath his chin is the phrase, "In God We Trust," and to the lower right, the date, 1980. Now, right next to the date, look closely, because that's where the mint mark is located. In 1980, the U.S. Mint struck dimes at 3 locations, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. A P indicates Philadelphia, D means Denver, and an S tells you it was minted in San Francisco, usually as part of a proof set for collectors. The mint mark might seem like a tiny detail, but trust me, it plays a massive role in a coin's value. Now, flip the coin over, and you'll find the reverse design, a lit torch in the center, flanked by an olive branch on the left and an oak branch on the right. This trio represents liberty, peace, and strength, classic American ideals. The inscriptions, United States of America, arch across the top, with De Pluribus Unum, Latin for, out of many, one, tucked just beneath the torch. At the bottom, the denomination, 1 dime. All of this is beautifully compact and packed into a 10-cent coin. But here's where the story takes a turn, because not all 1980 dimes were created equal. First, let's talk condition. As with any coin, the level of wear can make or break its value. Coins that went into circulation often come back nicked, scratched, and worn smooth. But some 1980 dimes were never used at all. They were kept in coin rolls, collections, or mint sets, untouched, uncirculated, and absolutely flawless. These mint state coins are graded on a 70-point scale, and anything scoring above 65 is considered a collector's prize. But now we step into the world of errors, and this is where things get really exciting. Imagine this: a 1980 Roosevelt dime struck off center, with part of the design missing. Or a coin that shows doubling on the date or lettering, known as a double die error. These mistakes happen during the minting process, and while the U.S. Mint has strict quality controls, a few slip through every year. To collectors, these rare errors are golden opportunities, and they pay big money for them. Even more thrilling is the wrong planchet error. That's when a dime is mistakenly struck on a blank meant for a different coin, like a penny or even a foreign coin. It sounds impossible, but it's happened, and when it does, the value of the coin skyrockets. There are also proof coin errors to consider. In 1980, the San Francisco Mint struck proof dimes intended only for collector sets. These coins have a shiny, mirror-like finish, with razor-sharp details. But occasionally, one of these proof coins escapes into circulation, or worse, is struck with a major flaw, like a missing mint mark. These kinds of errors are incredibly rare and highly desirable. And then there's the ultimate combo: a coin in perfect condition, with a minting error, and possibly a unique characteristic like toning or misalignment. These are the coins that collectors dream about. And when they appear at auctions, the competition to own them is fierce. Now, let's bring it all together. The 1980 Roosevelt dime is still out there, in drawers, in old coin rolls, even in pocket change. Most of them are worth exactly what they say, 10 cents. But a select few are worth far, far more. These are the coins that have survived the years in pristine shape, or carry mysterious errors from the minting process. These are the coins that turn casual collectors into serious ones, and everyday finds into extraordinary discoveries. And believe it or not, one such 1980 Roosevelt dime, flawless in appearance, rare in composition, and authenticated by expert grading services, crossed the auction block and stunned everyone. That single dime sold for a grand total of $36,000. Yes, you heard that right. $36,000. For one Roosevelt dime from 1980.so. What are you waiting for? Check your change. Look through that old jar. Dig out the drawer in the kitchen where loose coins have gathered dust for decades. You might just have a treasure hiding in plain sight. Today, we're diving into a coin that many people may have tossed aside without giving it a second thought: the 2000 Roosevelt dime. A dime is just a dime, right? It's only worth 10 cents, or is it? Well, stick with us because by the end of this video, you'll see just how a coin that seems so ordinary could actually be hiding some extraordinary value. That's right, we're about to uncover a hidden treasure in your pocket change, and you may even be sitting on a small fortune without knowing it. This is the 2000 Roosevelt dime you never expected to be worth so much. Let's rewind a bit and set the scene. The year is 2000, a time when flip phones were all the rage, the Y2K bug was on everyone's mind, and the world was preparing for the new millennium. Amidst all this, the United States Mint was busy at work, producing millions of dimes. The 2000 Roosevelt dime, just like its predecessors, carried the familiar image of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse, with his timeless profile staring off to the left. The design of the Roosevelt dime has been around since 1946. It was first introduced to honor President Roosevelt, who not only led the country through the Great Depression and World War II but also founded the March of Dimes charity, which played a significant role in eradicating polio. So this dime is more than just a coin, it represents a crucial chapter in U.S. history. On the obverse, Roosevelt's image is surrounded by the word liberty on the left, and the iconic phrase, "In God We Trust," beneath his chin. You'll also find the year of minting, in this case, 2000, next to Roosevelt's neck. But here's something that might surprise you, the mint mark. Depending on where the coin was produced, you'll see a D for Denver, P for Philadelphia, or S for San Francisco. And yes, if you find a 2000 Roosevelt dime with one of these mint marks, it could have more value than you might expect. Flip the coin over, and on the reverse side, you'll find the familiar design of a torch, flanked by olive and oak branches. These symbols represent liberty, peace, and strength, core ideals that this nation holds dear. At the bottom of the design, you'll find the inscription, United States of America, along with the phrase, E pluribus unum, and, of course, one dime, at the very bottom. But here's the kicker, the 2000 Roosevelt dime, while it may look like just another dime, actually has some unique features that could make it extremely valuable. Let's talk condition first. Coins that have been kept in pristine condition, with no wear or damage, are worth much more than those that have been heavily circulated. A coin in excellent or uncirculated condition can command a premium from collectors who seek the best examples. So, if you happen to find a 2000 Roosevelt dime that looks like it was minted yesterday, you've already got a valuable piece on your hands. Now, let's move on to minting errors. These little mistakes are what make certain coins stand out in the world of numismatics. Even the smallest flaw can make a coin worth far more than its face value. For example, imagine a 2000 Roosevelt dime that was struck with a misaligned die, causing the design to be off-center. That's considered an error coin, and collectors pay top dollar for these. Or what if you found a 2000 dime with double die obverse? This is when the design is slightly doubled, most often in the date or the lettering. This error is rare and can make a coin far more valuable than just 10 cents. Sometimes, the minting process can leave behind imperfections such as die cracks, which are also highly prized by collectors who love these quirky variations. Let's not forget about wrong planchet errors. These occur when a dime is mistakenly struck on a blank planchet meant for a different coin, like a nickel or even a foreign coin. If you find a 2000 Roosevelt dime that doesn't quite fit the usual dimensions or metal composition, then it's likely an error coin, and it could be worth a small fortune. Then there's the possibility of toning, the natural discoloration that occurs over time as a coin reacts with the air and the environment. Toning can actually increase a coin's value, especially if it creates beautiful, rainbow-colored patterns. If you happen to find a beautifully toned 2000 Roosevelt dime, then it could be worth even more to a collector who appreciates the artistry in those natural hues. Now, let's get to the real showstopper. While most 2000 Roosevelt dimes are worth just 10 cents, a few have made their way into the hands of collectors who discovered their extraordinary value. One such coin, in perfect condition with a rare error, was sold for a whopping $30,000. Yes, you heard that right, $30,000 for a single 2000 Roosevelt dime. It's mind-blowing, but it's true. This particular coin had everything going for it: impeccable condition, a rare error, and of course, the right buyer who was willing to pay top dollar. So, what does that mean for you? Well, if you've got a 2000 Roosevelt dime lying around, it might be time to take a closer look. Check for any unusual features, minting errors, or unique characteristics. Coins that are well preserved, have rare errors, or display distinctive toning could be worth much more than you think. If you're lucky enough to find a pristine 2000 Roosevelt dime with a rare error or feature, you could be sitting on a coin worth $30,000. So, what are you waiting for? Take a look through that coin jar or go through the spare change in your wallet. You never know, you might have a hidden gem on your hands. Thank you for joining us on today's adventure into the world of rare coins. If you enjoyed learning about this unexpected treasure, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more exciting coin discoveries, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on the latest coin revelations. Until next time, happy collecting, and remember, sometimes the coins we overlook can turn out to be the most valuable.